This conference will now be recorded.
So last class period, we began to talk about adjusting entries. And we said adjusting entries were internal financial transactions that were occurring that we needed to record so that the accounts would be properly reflected on the income statement and the balance sheet. If we did not make these adjusting entries, if we didn't make the adjusting entries, then there would be issues with the accounts being correct on the income statement and the balance sheet. We also said a couple other things about adjusting entries. There may be a preceding entry that involves cash. There may be a succeeding or follow-up entry that involves cash. But the adjusting entry itself did not involve cash. We also said that the adjusting entry involves one account from the balance sheet and one account from the income statement. So those were some general things that we looked at with adjusting entries. And we also said that, the entries are pretty well set. That is, the entry is made, but different from before where you were selecting the entry and you had the dollar amount. We make the entry, but you got to put the dollar amount in. So Daniel, if you would, lead us through number 27 again.
I didn't do number 27, sir.
Which one you did?
I did 22, sir.
My numbers may be off. But go ahead and read it, the one that you did.
Okay. It says this. Hold on. Give me one. Can you? I can't see it on my screen, sir. Can you move your screen down just a little bit, please?
Is this better? Let me. It's number 27 on here now. Let me just say. I don't think I've adjusted these. So. Still showing up that way. So can we see it?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
Okay, so what do we have?
It says assume JHJ GameStop in 2017 receives from 1,000 customers $50 for NBA 2K18. At December 31st, 900 customers have picked up their games.
Okay.
So for the preceding entry, I debited 50,000 in cash, and I got that by multiplying $50 times 1,000. And I credited earned revenue for 50,000 as well. And that's a type 4 transaction.
That's a type 4 transaction, and it always stays that way.
And
Then
then
what happens? Okay, go ahead.
for my adjusting entry, I debited 45,000 in unearned revenue, and I got that by doing $50 times 900 to give me 45,000. And then I credited $45,000 in sales, and you said that's going to be a type 22 transaction now, you said?
Correct. I sent you all the new listing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it's a 22 on there. Is that what it is, a 22?
Let me look at it real quick, sir.
22 or 21?
Or 21, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's a 21 now. Is there any question about anyone on this AJE? Can everybody do this?
Can you go over it one more time?
So let's go over it one more time, Trey, but why don't we do another one?
I know for me, sir, I know my issue is doing the adjusting entries in like the T account.
Well, sometime we're posting, but we're simply posting the entries. So let me see if I can find any T accounts. With this one, it's having any T accounts. So let's clear these out. So that's not a major thing that we're looking at. Sometimes it will help us, but if we have earned income, which is a liability account, and we have sales or revenue, which is the income statement account. Okay, so let's go to number 24. Can everyone see 24? That's my number. It says, assume that GameStop receives from 2,000 customers $50 each for NBA 2K. So how much is that? We have 2,000 customers.
100,000.
Okay, that's going to be 100,000. So we're going to debit cash for 100,000 and credit unearned income for 100,000. And when we post these, we debit cash for 100,000, and we credit unearned income for 100,000. So no different from what we've been doing before. Then it says in this problem, 1,500 customers picked up the game. So of course, to get the 100,000, we simply multiply 2,000 times 50. Okay, so that's how we got the 100,000. Now we're going to do what? How many people picked up the games? 1,500. So what are we going to multiply 1,500 times?
50.
50 times 1,500. And that's going to give us how much?
75,000.
And if we were to post that, we're simply going to do what? Debit unearned income for 75,000, credit sales revenue for 75,000. And so that's going to leave us 25,000 in the unearned account. Are there any questions?
Can we go over one of the ones about the cars and depreciation? Because I think I'm a little confused.
Well, we're going to get to that, but I want to make sure that comes next, but I want to make sure that we can do unearned income and that we can do supplies, because that's what's going to be on the midterm.
Can you do another problem?
Another what?
Another problem.
On unearned or supplies?
Unearned income.
Another one on earning income.
Professor, you got the 25,000 by doing the little like larger number minus smaller number and then the equals thing. Like when you click on it, you got the 25,000 from that on the, okay.
Correct. But we just said that balance would be 25,000. Now this is the easiest one. Okay, because all we're doing is when we got the two, let's just talk about what we did. When 2,000 customers paid us $50, we multiplied 2 times 50, we got 100,000. Okay. When 1,500 of the customers picked the games up, we multiplied 50 times 1,500 and got 75,000. So we got the cash. Okay. We love that debit, cash, credit, unearned income. That's a liability. Once we deliver these games, we move it from the unearned account to the earned account. When it's in the unearned account, it's on the balance sheet. When it's in the revenue, when it's in the sales account, then it can go to the income statement, which is where we ultimately want it. So let's do one more.
Can we also practice doing the T accounts when the two problems are connected, sir? And so we can adjust the balances on the T accounts?
Okay. So let's practice it on earned income. So we're going to change it up a little bit. Suppose at the beginning of the year, you had $10,000. Well, I won't do that. I'm going to change these GameStop numbers. Can everybody see this problem?
I can, sir.
Okay, I'm going to make this 4,000. Okay. And I'm going to make the price $75. So change it up, sir. So this is now $75. And we're going to say 3,000. Okay. So this will be 4,000. And let's say 3,000 customers picked it up. So it's time for y'all to work. Y'all get to work. Work that one out. Y'all got my answers? Got it posted? So what's my debit to unearned income gonna be? I meant the cash, excuse me.
300,000.
I'll take your word for it. And what's our debit to unearned? So, and how we get that? What's that? 4,000 times 75, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then what's gonna be the case here?
67,500. That's 900 by 75.
Now we said 3,000 picked it up.
Oh, shit.
That's 225,000.
Take your word for it.
So when it says 900 customers have picked up their games, what is that for? Because that's where I got the
Say that again.
67. I said when it says 900 customers have picked up their games, where does that go? Because that's where I got the 67.
Changed it from 4,000 to 3,000. This doesn't go anywhere. So I
That's what
changed.
I saw.
Okay, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying now. This should be 3,000. So I was changing it. Okay. I was trying to change it. So it should have been 3,000. Okay, that's unearned income. Let's see if we can go up here to some supplies. We got to get all the way down to some accrued salary expense and everything. Okay, so we have supplies, expense and supplies. We have the 2017 year and the 2018 year. And of course, we said these entries always basically stay the same in terms of the amount. So let's look at number 3. JHJ Company in 2017 purchased supplies on account costing $15,000. Okay. Preceding entry, 15,000. So we'll post that in the supplies account, 15,000. Then it says what? Record the journal entry required if at the end of the year we got 5,000, record the journal entry to acquire the supplies. And then the adjusting entry required if 5,000 is in the account at the end. So what's our adjusting entry going to be? What's our adjusting entry gonna be for 2017?
10,000.
10,000, because we're going to go to the T account and say that the balance that's gonna carry over to 2018 is 5,000. So the AJE is the difference between these two numbers, are 10,000. So we would debit supplies expense for 10,000 and credit supplies for 10,000. And we know that we're going to close that out. So here's the AJE, debit supplies for 10,000, supplies expense for 10,000, credit supplies for 10,000. Any question on this one? And of course, we would make a closing entry to close the supplies expense out. But the 5,000 left in supplies becomes our beginning amount in 2018. The amount that you have in your bank on December 31st of 2021 will be the amount January 1st of 2022. It carries over. So does everyone see how the 5,000 is carrying over to 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at our transactions for 2018. In the first transaction, we bought supplies paying cash in the amount of 5,000. So we buying supplies for 5,000, credit cash for 5,000. And now in 2018, we got another 5,000 in the account. Then it says what? We also purchased 10,000 on account. So we're gonna debit supplies 10,000 and credit accounts payable 10,000. And now we got another 10,000 in here. So in the account at 2018, the 5 from the prior year plus 5 plus 10. So that's 20,000 that's in the account right now. They tell us how much is left in the account. 4,000. So we got to make an adjusting entry so that this number is going to be $4,000. So what does the adjusting entry have to be? What does that adjusting entry have to be?
16.
Sounds like a good number to me. Because we, it's always the difference. It's, what credit do we need? And we put 16,000 in the expense account. So Daniel, you see how it carries over now from one year to the next?
I think so. Can you get back up to the question really quick, sir? I'm sorry.
Okay. This is the question here, correct?
Yes, sir. Just let me read it real quick, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right. I got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Got it? Okay, good. So I can see some people anxiously waiting so I can get this quiz in here right quick.
Is the quiz on unearned income
And supplies.
and supplies? Okay.
That's what you respond. That's what we covered last time. And this is not to hurt you per se, but you see where you are. I see where you are. It is in there now. So only the A students have to do that second one. Keep them on their toes, they'll get bored. So regular, B and C students 1 and 2, A students 1, 2, and then back to 1 again. So take 5 or 10 minutes, see how this comes. I think we have plenty of journal and sheets and places for T account. So just do it on this, send it in. You need more, you just add columns and everything.
Is it the AGE assignments?
Yeah, it should be a AJE quiz or something.
This conference will now be recorded.
We want to look at 2 other areas dealing with prepaid expenses today. One is prepaid insurance, and the other is long-term assets. So let's look at prepaid insurance. And with prepaid insurance, we typically are assuming a 12-month policy. So assume that on July 1st, let me just, so on July 1st, we bought an insurance policy, a 12-month policy for $1,800. To buy this insurance, we just simply gonna debit cash. Excuse me, debit prepaid insurance and credit cash. Now, if you paid $1,800 for prepaid insurance, and if you wanted your money back on December 31st, how much could you get back? How much of what you've used up? Okay. The way we approach this is we say, okay,
6 months.
6 months,
That's half of it, 900.
right? So let's get our monthly amount. Let's see if we can get our monthly amount. And we're simply going to take the 1,800, divide that by 12, and that's going
That'll
to
be 150.
that'll be 150. So the first thing you want to do when you see a problem like this is get the monthly amount. So from July 1 to December 31st is 6 months. So 6 months have expired. And so the amount that's expired is 900.
So you don't put what you pay, what's left to pay, you put the amount that was spent.
Utilized, yeah. How much of it's gone?
Oh, okay.
So always with these problems, we get the monthly amount, then we see how many months have gone. If this was October 1st when we bought it, then only 3 months would have gone and we would have 3 times 150. Do we see that? It's July is 6 times 150. But if this were October 1st, only 3 would have expired. So it would be 3 times 150. Now, let's go to the next year. And they're renewing the insurance at $2,400. So when July 1st rolls around, instead of having to pay $1,800, they got to pay $2,400. So what you're going to do now to, well, let's buy it first. So we pay the $2,400. So what are you going to do now for your expense amount?
$2,400 by 12.
So we'll put our row below, and we know that for the new one, it's going to be $2,400 divided by 12. So that's going to equal $200. So we were at 150, now we're at 200. So from January through June, we would make a calculation six times the 150, the old amount. So for the first 6 months, we're at the old rate. But then from July until December of that next year, those 6 months are going to be at the new rate, which is going to be 6 times 200. So 6 times 150 is 900, but 6 times 200 is 1200. And so we have to add these two together. And so the amount of our expense is going to be how much? How much would that be?
2100.
2100. So that's what you have to do. Once you get to the next year, the number of months at the old rate is here. The number of months at the new rate is down here. So if it were an October 1st situation, we would have 9 months at 150 and 3 at 200 if the dates were October. So if we had bought it October 1st last year, then we would have 9 times 150, and we'd have 3 times 200. So you just put, and then you go extend out in total to get what the prepaid insurance amount is. So not a difficult calculation. Let's move on to depreciable assets. And it says, assume you bought on January 1st 5 autos for $20,000 each, paying $50,000 down. What's our journal entry going to be? We bought, somebody's supposed to be talking, we bought 5 autos for $20,000 each and paid $50,000 down. So seems like we would have a journal entry where we debit auto for $100,000. We'd credit cash for $50,000. Type 7, and we credit note payable for $50,000. Okay. So that's how we look right now. We'll get back to that later. Any questions so far? We just bought the automobile. And so the automobile has a 4-year life. It's got a 4-year life. So therefore, we need to write this auto off because it's going down in value. So we got to write it off, and we're going to calculate our depreciation expense. So two things are going to happen. First of all, we're going to divide 100 by 4, and so we're going to get the expense to be $25,000. But because this is a long-term asset, we credit accumulate depreciation for $25,000.
Why you divided by 4?
Because the life was 4 years.
Okay.
4-year life. So we're saying that 1/4 of the asset disappears each year. So at the end of year 1, when we look at this asset, its original cost is 100. Because the asset is going to last more than a year, we always keep the original cost on the books and we just credit accumulate depreciation. What kind of account is accumulate depreciation? What kind of account is accumulate depreciation?
Is it an asset?
Is it what?
Worksheet.
What's the normal balance? What's the normal balance?
Is it credit? Like
Credit.
the credit?
Normal balance is a credit for accumulated depreciation. So we have the asset, because the asset is long-lived, it lasts more than a year. We're going to always keep the original cost, but what we write off, we're going to put in this accumulated depreciation account. But on our balance sheet presentation now, it's going to be cost less accumulated depreciation, $75,000. Okay. Now, the good thing about these adjusting interests is next year, same thing, 25,000 is the depreciation, 25,000 goes to the accumulated account. So now, when we look at it, we have the auto in here at 100, but now the accumulated account has 50,000 of it. It has 25,000 each year. So now the car is valued at $50,000. And so what can you tell me is going to happen this third year?
Additional 25.
Additional 25,000 appreciation, debit, credit. And when we get to the balance sheet presentation, how much is in accumulated depreciation now?
75.
75,000. So the car is now listed at what?
25.
25,000. So that's all that's involved. So those are not the hardest ones. So those are not really the hardest ones, because once you go and make the count, record it, get that depreciation the first year, it stays the same. And then you just gotta show, okay, the value is going from 100 minus 25 to 75, 100 minus 50 to 50, 100 minus 75 to 25. Because the car is going down in value. So that becomes an expense for the company.
So are we not really worried about like making journal entries like the types for like each of those?
Well, I was just operating in a hurry, but I assume you get your types in there
Mhm.
when you have plenty of time to get it in by 5 today. Because that helps you. Are there any questions?
Are we going back over this again whenever we come back to like actual campus?
We're going over it on Monday. I mean, on Tuesday, excuse me.
Yeah, are we gonna be on campus Tuesday?
No, we won't be on campus Tuesday. We're coming back after the break.
Sure, it's a lot harder to learn stuff like this if we're not in person. Like, I'm very confused, and I was never this confused in class.
Well, I'm only going to have it on a screen like this, but let me think about it. I'll let you know. I'm not sure what the difference is going to be because I'm going to have a screen up. I'm going to be putting things on a big screen that you're going to see, but it's not going to change that much. So I'm not sure what's involved there. Everybody needs, you know, when I talk to the morning class, somebody in the morning class is had to leave early to go get tested for COVID. So you got to make sure everybody needs to go and get their test done. And then as they come into class, because they're bringing everybody there around the class, they got to have a mask on in class and they have a mask on around everybody else. So, and the day after that is the midterm. So that's an online exam anyway. So I'll think about it. I'll let you know if I change my mind. I'll let you know. But I'm not sure what the difference that we're going to see. You know, I can't write on the whiteboard. I can only do the same. You know, we have the screens in the middle of the room. So I'm just not quite sure. So what's the difference going to be when we're in the classroom? Tell me what the difference is going to be.
It's harder to like. Well, I know for me personally, it's harder to retain information looking at a screen. Like I can't learn like that. Like even though you're saying that it would still be the same, you'd be presenting off like on a projector screen, it will still be easier to retain the information if we were in person.
And then to also add to that, sir, I feel like I know me personally when I was in class, I liked having a pencil and paper to kind of, even though we're doing the same thing on the computer, I feel like I was at least kind of able to kind of look at it better with a pencil and paper as opposed to trying to flip through a bunch of different screens on my laptop and my phone, trying to flip through everything. At least I had it on my desk. I can kind of like just see it with my hand and kind of see what I'm looking at. I feel like on the screens, it's so many different screens. You can't really, it's not there unless you look at it. But at least with the paper, I can still see it in my vision, you know?
Whatever. Okay, we'll try to be there on was it Tuesday at 2:30? Okay. So the focus is on you all learning, and if you learn better that way, we'll operate that way. But realize that, you know, that's fine, but you got to be looking at this material ahead of time. Okay. You got to be reading, and you got to be working the problems. Now, the other part of it, you know, it's not a major deal, but there are prior videos in there. But I don't have a way to tape the videos once we get there. I mean, I'll check on it, but this is, you know, a private program for me. So you just keep that in mind that you're going to have to really pay attention and get that material down, because I'll check with them when I get there. But, you know, just make sure you're paying attention and getting it down.
I would just request, sir, that you make whatever material or questions that you want to go over. Can you make it available in Blackboard so we can print it out? And so then I printed out journal entry and a printed out T account to kind of go through the questions?
Everything that we have is in the primer, and all of the worksheets and everything else are already in Blackboard. So I taught straight from the primer, okay? So you're supposed to have this and be reading it. So what I put on that screen, so the idea was that buy this and you would read it. And then you make your sheets, but so everything's available. I would assume in terms of this book and what I have in Blackboard, you can always, you got the Excel spreadsheet, you can work with that, or you can print sheets yourself in terms of, if you want to, if you need the hands-on sheets, then you go and you print them. So I'm not quite understanding what we're saying here in terms of sheets. And I mean, what specifically would you need? Maybe I can put some Word documents in and you can make, is that what you're talking about, Word documents?
Yes, sir. That'd be perfect, sir.
Okay. I will go and try to get some Word documents in there. The idea was that we're in a sort of a virtual world, and you needed to really focus on operating virtually. But I will see what I can do in terms of trying to get together some documents that would be in Word format so you can utilize that. But I will tell you, I still expect you to submit all work in Blackboard. So I'm not going to be taking up paper. You're still going to have to submit it in Blackboard. It can be Word or whatever, but I'm not taking.
I'm sorry, sir. I just think it's, my personal opinion is, I just think the amount of information that we're covering right now, it would just be better to just kind of at least have a feel for it in my hand, like when we're learning it.
Okay,
I'm not flipping the difference.
I agree with that. I'm going to give you the paper to learn. But when you submit something to me, it has to come back in Blackboard. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to give you the paper. So the Word documents will be in Blackboard. Print them out. I'll put journal sheets in there, and of course these problems are already in there. So I'll try to get some Word type journals and ledgers and things like that. So you can print. So you just need to print out your stack. Print out you a stack of journals, sheets. Print out you a stack of ledgers. So you basically know what we're covering. So come to class with the journals and with the ledgers if you want them in Word. Just bring them to class and have them ready to go.
That'd be perfect, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
If you are uncomfortable with like still coming in, can that be an option like for people who aren't comfortable coming in?
Well, I don't know how we can do that. Okay, if I come in, I'm in. And what I'm running now is something that I personally pay for, so I can teach, and that way, like sometimes people get kicked out of Blackboard. Well, there's never a problem because I got a private thing to set up here. Now I would have to try to figure out how that would work, and if I could set it up there, but I don't know if that will work. But overall, the class was listed as a face-to-face class. Okay, so that was the listing. And so if people make that request that we go face to face, we have to do that. So everybody would have to agree to go virtual. Well, we see people saying they can do better face to face. So if people can do better face to face, then that's what we have to do. Everybody need to have their masks on. I'm gonna be like that guy, a professor at the University of Georgia. If people come in there without a mask on, I'm walking out. Okay, so if people come into class without a mask, I'm gonna walk out. So I'll tell you that.
My only compromise to that, sir, is if we were to strictly just do virtually, just for everyone's comfortability, I would just request that you still make things available on the Word document, and then we can print it out before class, and we can still work on the papers itself. Because I know for me personally, it's not the biggest hindrance to trying to learn and be in class at the same time is really just flipping through the screens more than anything. And you lose your place, you got to scroll up, you got to scroll down, and that to me takes the longest, as opposed to trying to, it's not so much the execution of what we're doing, so it's really just how I'm trying to combine everything on one screen. That for me takes the longest. But if everyone felt more comfortable doing virtually, I would just request that you make whatever we're going over in class available to be printed out, and then we can look at it on paper as opposed to trying to flip through screens constantly. And I just feel it'd be a little faster just on paper. But that would be my compromise. And you can still cover what you're covering on your screen, and then we can see with a paper in front of us, and we can do it together. And then when we go turn it in, of course, we can do it on the Excel sheet or the Word document. Like I said, for me, it's not execution. It's just trying to handle everything on just one screen. It's just that to me takes the longest time.
I agree. I agree that now. In terms of meeting, they're emailing us, so I got to come back. I can't make a decision not to meet. Okay, especially when people say they want to meet. And their new rule is 3 people have to have COVID, not 1, but 3, before we can move back to virtual. So as long as we don't have a situation where 3 people have COVID, then we have to meet on campus. That's their rule. Now, you can remember the first day I told you to make hard copies of journal entry types and hard copies of the chart of accounts. I told you to make hard copies of that. Now, everything I've sent to you on adjusting journal entries, I sent you the journal entries. I sent you the new chart of accounts. Well, an adjusting entry chart of accounts, and I updated the journal entry types. You should go ahead and make copies of that. Now, the only thing left, I think, unless I'm missing something, are journal sheets and T accounts. Am I missing something?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to put a Word document that has T accounts on it. And so what you've got to do is to print you a bunch of those T accounts, so you have anybody who wants to operate that way. The same thing with the journals. I'm going to put some Word journals in there. You didn't have to make a bunch of pages, so you have that, so you're ready to go. And it might be helpful if you have folders where you got your various things in it, so you can get to it quickly. My goal was to try to teach in Excel, so that would make it easier to learn. But if that's not happening, you want to go with a Word, then that's fine. But the idea was that if you're in Excel, it's adding and doing. Word's not going to do it, adding for you. So if you're working with a Word document, then you got to use your cell phone to add on and things like that. So
I'm comfortable working on Excel or Word, sir. I'm just requesting that whatever information we do cover, we more so just the questions. I know sometimes we go over questions that's not like in the book, and it'd just be nice to have the questions we kind of refer back to.
All of the questions that I'm going over in this book. Okay, that is the document that I have up here now. Okay, this is the primer. You know, I'm making adjustments to go forward. But this is all of these pages, except where I put in, the journals and ledgers. All of this is in the primer. The only things not in there would be T accounts. I'm going to put that in there today. I put it on the adjustment entry and journal sheets. I'm going to put that in. But other than that, I'm coming straight out of the primer. I'm coming straight out of this book. So, but I agree, navigate that and everything, can be difficult. So, but overall, my goal is for you all to learn. Okay, that's the goal. And whatever you think is going to work best, I'm going to make the adjustment because you all are doing the learning. I realize I'm teaching, you all are learning. And so, when things need to be adjusted and changed, just let me know and I will try to do that because I want to make sure. But as we get back, like I said, we just need to have a look at it. We can see, how we're learning, what we're flipping, and how different people are learning. So I think that's, so we'll look at that. So I don't have any problem with that. So what about the computer Excel people?
First of all, I have a question. Is it my grade? And I have a 4 o'clock class.
Not now. You can email. I'll look at that. I've just put the preliminary things in.
Well, the issue is that I've attempted to email you before, and I've never gotten a response back. And now my grade looks like trash because there's misconstrusions and stuff like that.
I don't know what you're talking about because I haven't changed the prior grades. My concern was to put in the grade on the quizzes, which took me 2 or 3 days to grade because that's the issue. That's what you tested on next. Now, on the prior work, I'll begin working on that, but that work is in, and I'll correct that. But I needed to, just like the day quiz, I wanted to go through things that were going to be on the midterm. And I wanted you to get those, so you need to look at that. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I sent you just preliminarily the financial statement homeworks and that quiz for this period, which is leading to the midterm. Are you talking about that document?
I'm just talking about assignments from prior to that I've emailed you and then I never got a response. And so I actually got half of the grade that I had.
When you emailing, wait a minute, what are you saying? What are you saying exactly?
I'm saying that I've emailed before and I haven't gotten a response. So I'm trying to ask you in class. And I have a 4 o'clock class. That's why I'm trying to act.
Emails all the time from students. That's one of the issues about virtual, always. And so I got things in Blackboard. When it gets into my regular email, it's in there with 1,000 other emails. And so I will move back to that. But it takes time. And I got 3 classes, 3 sets of people trying to get ready for midterm. I sent things to you preliminarily. I'm going to come back and look at them. But, don't expect that I can go through. I have people who will sit. I got this. So a lot of time I got to help people who have some real issues. So I'll get back to that. The grades, it's preliminary. So it will, if you got points, you get the points. But you can't tell me, okay, I need it right now. No, there's not. Teaching virtually takes a whole lot more time. I can tell you that right now. It takes a whole lot more time because there are a bunch of students who are emailing all the time. So I'll get back to it.
I didn't say I needed. What I'm saying is that
Well, I hear what
Basically,
you're
they have
saying.
emailed
What
out.
I'm saying, I have not gotten back to it. I will get back to it this weekend, but I haven't gotten to it, and I would look at it. So it does take time. I'll get back and get the correction in, but if I'm grading in Blackboard, trying to get through everybody and get the basics out, then I'll go back to emails. Okay. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you all at 2:30 on Thursday. I mean Tuesday on campus.